There we go. Hi guys, I'm Kristen Brunius and I am so excited to be on here and talk about anxiety. If you're anything like me, you've struggled with anxiety from time to time, whether it be chronic or occasional. And so I kind of wanted to tell you a little bit of my story. And my story, it doesn't really have a starting point because I really believe that I've struggled with anxiety for most of my life. Even I think back to things that happened in elementary and junior high, and I think I just didn't really have a word for it. But I think my biggest turning point was in college. So my freshman year of college, I was sexually assaulted and was raped. And that kind of spiraled me into a really tough time in my life. And I ended up seeing a counselor who diagnosed me with post-traumatic stress disorder, as you can imagine. And that was really the first time I could put words to how I was feeling. That counselor ended up putting me on an antidepressant, which I was on for a long time. But the thing was, I really don't think I had depression. I think I had anxiety. And what ended up happening with that medication was I felt like I was a very numb version of myself. So eventually, I decided to go off of my medication with the help of my doctor. And I just started to think that this was just how life was going to be. Fast forward, I ended up having 3 kids in 3 years. And then after I had my third, I just couldn't seem to get it together. And every time I went to the doctor, they would say, well, you had 3 kids in 3 years. You're overwhelmed, you're tired, you're exhausted. And I just couldn't get a handle on things. And so after my son was probably, my third was about 6 months old, I went on anxiety medication. And I'm not here to say that that was a wrong decision or a right decision, but I am here to say that if I had known about Solle at that time, that would have been my first step. But at the time, I didn't know about Solle, and so I ended up on medication. The problem with being on medication is that it doesn't take care of all of your symptoms. And so you end up supplementing with things like Xanax, or you just really learn some great coping mechanisms, which is not a bad thing. And B, you tend to travel back and forth between being anxious, and so then they increase your dose, and then you're basically a zombie, and being a zombie is no fun either. And then I would decrease my dose, and I would still have, the anxiety wouldn't be terrible, but I would still have anxiety. So fast forward to September of 2017, anxiety had reached a point where it was unmanageable. I was still on the medication, and I was finding that even things like Xanax weren't really helping anymore. And I was just grasping at air for anything that could help. I had become obsessed with exercise, really, really doing anything in my diet that that could help me. And it was just like, I remember talking to my sister on the phone and just saying, it's like one day you have a great night of sleep and you wake up and you feel like you can't breathe and there's an elephant on your chest. And oftentimes there would be no real reason. And then, there would be times when I would be driving my kids to a park and I would look at my hands and they'd be clenching the steering wheel. Nothing really wrong with me. It's just that my life, I was always living at a 10, always anxious. And then if anything happened, got in an argument with a family member. David's my husband. Dave and I had a disagreement. The kids were roughhousing too much. I had no threshold. And so I was just at my wit's end, and I started Googling things. Another part of my story is that I struggle with adrenal fatigue, probably adrenal exhaustion, honestly. And I was Googling things, trying to figure out what I could do to help myself. But that's a whole nother part of my story. But a lot of this anxiety was probably what led to adrenal exhaustion, or the fact that my adrenals were exhausted led to anxiety. It's kind of like what's first, the chicken or the egg. So anyway, I came across Solle Naturals on Google and I started researching it. I spent a whole weekend looking up stuff, Googling reviews, trying to find anybody in the Midwest who could hook me up with this stuff. And there was nobody out here. I'm from Northwest Indiana, outside of Chicago. And so I did what I guess a crazy person does. And Monday, I found a way to get in contact with the company, and I went all in. And so I signed up as a specialist, which is a crazy, crazy thing to do, having not tried any of the products, but I believed in the company from my research. So that is one thing that I will say to you guys: research, research, research. We have hundreds of hours of webinars and testimonies and so much stuff that we can give to you. Don't be afraid to ask a question. And if we don't know, we will find the answer. So I had done the research. I decided to jump in. My main objectives were to help my anxiety. And sorry, the light keeps reflecting in my glasses, so I apologize for that. My main objective was to help with anxiety, to help with adrenal fatigue, and exhaustion. I didn't realize that I had other things going on. Like, I didn't realize that I had bad digestion, which is interconnected with anxiety. But at the time, I didn't know that. My main focus was I didn't want to wake up anxious every day. I wanted to get through the day without taking a nap, and I wanted the symptoms of adrenal fatigue to go away, because no doctor was willing to help me, because adrenal fatigue is a syndrome. It's not a disease. So there's not a medication that anybody could give you. So the first product that I felt that changed my life when it came to anxiety was Vital. And so I have Vital right here. If you guys aren't familiar with it yet, this is the green juice. If you're an adult, it looks like swamp ditch water. My kids call it alligator juice or gorilla juice or crocodile juice or whatever. And we call it juice because it's very sweet, but it doesn't have any sugar in it. And it has 6 adaptogenic herbs in there. And if you don't know anything about adaptogens, adaptogens balance things out. They not only will reduce stress, reduce anxiety, reduce depression, they also are great with your digestion, your ability to handle stress. So you could have the same stressful situation happen, but then your perceived feelings of that stressful moment are different because your body is balancing out. So I'm one of those people who drinks actually 2 Vitals a day. I drink one mid-morning, and then I drink one around dinner time, because for me, I have a huge amount of anxiety. I have chronic anxiety, not occasional anxiety. And so getting that into my system twice a day is great for me. Not everybody needs 2 Vitals a day, but that's what I do. And I find that Vital keeps me very calm, yet energized. And actually, my first Vital of the day, I mix with Renew. And Renew is kind of, it's fruity as well. And you can drink it hot or cold. Renew is kind of like a reset for your body. So for someone like me who struggles with adrenal issues, Renew is great for strengthening those adrenals. And so I drink the Renew and the Vital together around 11 o'clock in the morning. Oftentimes I'll throw it in a protein shake. And what that does is it keeps me very calm, keeps me very focused, keeps anxiety away, and I can continue through my workday. I also drink Renew hot at night. And a lot of times people will call that the sleepy time tea, because Renew, when it's hot, is really great for calming. And so for me, I have a hard time shutting off my brain. I love to work. I'm a very, very dedicated, committed person, not only to my family, but to Solle as my career and many other things. And so my brain goes like this all day long. And so Renew is not going to put you to sleep. It's going to relax you so that you can fall asleep. I don't have it here because I actually ran out. But another thing that is great for anxiety is Vertizymes. So Vertizymes is another component of my nighttime routine. And I take 2 Vertizymes every night, and that is a calming capsule. It is a digestive enzyme, meaning that it's going to calm your and help your digestive system work effectively, because a lot of people who struggle with anxiety, their stomach is up in a knot like this. And that is the exact description of how my stomach felt when I struggled with anxiety all the time. It always felt like my stomach was clenching itself, kind of like a lot of people say it's kind of like butterflies when you go to the principal's office. that's how mine felt, but almost worse. And it would gurgle, and sometimes I'd get bloated and things like that. And so it's really great for people with anxiety, because a lot of times people who have anxiety also have digestive issues. On top of that, it's calming, helps you fall asleep. So between the Vertizymes, which is the capsule, and the Renew at night, I sleep like a baby. I don't even wake up to go pee anymore. It's fantastic. Another thing that was a great addition to me, especially someone having been on medication. Like I said, medication doesn't really take care of everything, right? There's a lot of people who do go on anxiety medications. Once again, I'm not here to say that medication is bad. If I knew about Solle before I went on medication, would I have tried this? Hands down, absolutely. But I understand not everybody, has had that opportunity. And I was one of those people where I wasn't already on medication when I found out about Solle. So I used Solle to supplement when I could. And so that's exactly what Adaptable did for me. So with medication, I still had those symptoms. And so I would take Adaptable. Now, you want to separate supplements from medications, okay? So let's just make that clear. So I would take my medication in the morning, and then I would take a couple of Adaptable at noon. And what that did was it got rid of any of that extra aggravation or irritation or whatever, because once again, if I increased my medication, then I felt like a zombie and I wasn't accomplishing anything. But then if I decreased my medication, then I was still anxious. So it was like this catch-22, and Adaptable filled in those gaps. And on top of it, Adaptable is balancing. So it started to balance my mood. And that's how so many people are able to, with their doctor's help, and slowly, I wouldn't recommend it right away if you're on medication, but a lot of people are able to go off of their medications. But please do safely. That's all I have to say, because anxiety medication is not a joking matter. So Adaptable fills that gap. So now I'm at the point where I take it at lunchtime, and most of the time that's all I need. Every once in a while, if my kids come home and they're arguing and they have lots of homework and it was a crazy work day, or I might need a couple extra. And that's the great thing about adaptogens, is that your body can't get used to them. So, and then last but not least, I feel like the under-recognized product that helped me and continues to help me with anxiety is our essential oils. So this is one of my favorites. Let me hold it up. It's called Confidence. And Confidence is a roll-on, and it smells so good. I actually wear it like as a perfume. I have one in my car, one in my desk, one in my kitchen. My kids have them in their backpacks. This is an all-time favorite in our family. And it has eucalyptus, lemon, lemongrass, rosemary, spearmint, black pepper, fennel, balsam, ginger root, patchouli, petitgrain, blue cypress, German chamomile, yuzu, Roman chamomile, and balsam Peru, all ready diluted for you, ready to go. This is fantastic. And then another classic that we use all the time is the Calm oil, which I don't have right in front of me, but the Calm oil is, if you can get it in a roller, you can get it in a lotion bar, which is like with coconut oil, or you can just get it as the drops, kind of like this one. And it's called Calm, and that is great for anxiety, for sleep, for stomach indigestion, for fevers, for muscle pain, for relaxation. I put a couple drops in every night if I take a bath. We put it in the diffuser when we go to sleep. We put the Calm bar on my kids' feet. If I'm ever having anxious moments, I'll put it behind my ears, on my wrists, sometimes on my feet, sometimes on my chest. And that has been great for me as well. So I went from feeling like I had an elephant on my chest every day. I was losing friends because I struggle in social situations. I am an extroverted person, but I have an introverted personality, meaning I get very overwhelmed by large amounts of people and, too much people time. I very much enjoy my alone time. I have to have that. And because of that, I was starting to suffer socially. I was starting to, lose friends because I wasn't seeing them as often. I didn't feel like a good mom. I felt like I was always aggravated or annoyed with my kids. And if I could say anything about Solle, hands down, it made me a better mom, wife, and friend. And now I see my friends all the time. I'm on social media, going live like this, and it doesn't bother me. I don't function at a 10 anymore. You know, do I still struggle with anxiety? Yeah. I mean, you know, if you take 30 days of the month, maybe I have an anxious day, 2 or 3 of them. Do I still have limitations? Do I still watch my activity level, my diet, the way I talk to myself, the people I allow in my life, all of that? I absolutely do, because once you struggle with something, it seems like you tend to kind of go back to that if you're not careful. And so I'd say on a daily basis, anxiety levels maybe a 3, 4, 5, but that also means that if I ever have a day where I'm a 6 or a 7, I can get it back under control pretty quickly, because I have all the tools in my toolbox that help me, and they're pure products that are natural. I don't have to worry about them doing anything to my body, to my kids' bodies, or my grandma's body, or I mean, for goodness sake, I give my dog adaptable too. So I hope that this is encouragement for any of you who may struggle with anxiety, and I hope that it gives you hope. And if I can be of any assistance or answer any questions, I am only a message away. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Bye.